Namo Buddhaya, Namo Ratanataya. Greetings from California, from our Ācarinī Bhikkhunis, our Bodhi, Awakening Forest Hermitage, to all most venerable Mahatheros and Mahātheris, to the venerable Sangha of Bhikkhus and Bhikkhunis, noble monastics and householders, Dhamma friends. I'll be speaking on living a fully intentional and dedicated life and the meaning of Āsālha. Intentionality and dedication play such an enormous role in the meaning of the Asalha Puja, exemplified by the Bodhisattva and the Buddha. The intentional choice to take birth in this world, as exemplified by the Asalha full moon descent into the womb at the conception of the Bodhisattva. Intentional choice in dedicated, committed relationships based on commitment to shared dedication, as exemplified in the Bodhisattva's Asalha marriage to his dedicated Dhamma partner of many lives. Intentionally setting forth as a seeker on the final quest, as exemplified in the Bodhisattva's Asalha great renunciation, abhinekama, or abhinishkramana. And finally, on the Asalha full moon, setting the Dhamma wheel in motion as an awakened one, and the foundation of the Sangha. Here we must speak of the Buddha's intention, even from lives past, to have a fourfold community. For the foundations of the Sangha, it's important to know that we're speaking of Sangha as of two kinds. First, as the 4 pairs and 8 kinds of noble beings, that is the Arya Sangha. Of these, on the Asalha full moon, there were only 2 people who opened the Dhamma eye, male and female, the ascetic Anya Kondanya and Kali of Kuraragarika, a lay woman pregnant in her final term of pregnancy. Second, we're speaking of the monastic Sangha. At this time on the Asalha full moon, still the Bhikkhu Sangha only, not yet the dual Sangha that the Buddha intended. What it means to be inspired by and uphold that intention, 2,567 years since the Buddha's parinibbana, or ultimate nirvana. As I'm known as something of a historian, or herstory, or I'd like to say our historian, 2,567 years since the Buddha's parinibbana means 2,647 years since the Buddha's descent into the womb. That is his conception that we're commemorating today. 2,618 years since the Bodhisattva's great going forth, abhinekamana, which we're commemorating today. 2,612 years since the Buddha set the Dhamma wheel into motion, per classical Theravada counting, which we're commemorating. And also 2,607 years since the founding of the Bhikkhunī Sangha, the establishment of the fourfold community of the Buddha, and the fulfillment of the Buddha's intention to have a Buddha Chatuparisa, when Mahapajapati Gautami Theri, in no long time, 1 week later, attained to arahathood. Our organizer and moderator, Venerable Bhikkhunī Dhammanandā Mahātherī, asked me to share something about the formation of the Sangha in modern times in the U.S., also recent ordinations. So in this talk I'll be speaking not only about the initial or original formation of the Sangha on the Asalha full moon in the Buddha's time, but also about the Sangha's formation over time and space, and even contemporarily the Sangha's progressive and successive reconstitution or restitution and reformation. We can look at the three trainings, or tisika in Pali, or pratraisika in Thai, as a yardstick that the Buddha himself used with regards to the Sangha's formation and endurance. The tisika, or three trainings, are factors of the rightness as well as the long endurance of the Sangha. We can see in our contemporary times now what a revival and spread there has been. First, a Buddhist meditation, particularly mindfulness, and also the vipassana and insight meditation movements, as well as the popularization of jhana samadhi teachings and practice. In the tisika, or three trainings, this is the training in samadhi, or in adhicitta, that is, higher mind. We can also see contemporarily the enormous and widespread revival of teaching the suttas from the early Buddhist canon Sutta Pitaka, and their being made widely accessible to the public in a wide variety of languages. And we even increasingly see spread of the study and teachings of the Pali language itself. This is the Panyasika, or training in higher wisdom, Adipanya. Last, but not at all least, as it is so foundational, we've seen a mass spread in the international popularity of undertaking Sila Sika, with people of all walks of life from around the world undertaking traditional Buddhist precepts for periods of retreat, for the Uposatthas, and for temporary or longer-term monastic ordination, which is traditionally based in Patimokkha Sila. It's here, with the Sila Sika, that I would like to note the contribution of the revival of the Bhikkhunī Sangha, as Sila Sika for the monastic Sangha is defined as Patimokkha Sila. Patimokkha is the discipline of the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. With the revival of the Theravada Bhikkhunī Sangha, we're seeing a revival of training and dedication to the practice of classical Buddhist Sila, that is Adi Sila, training in higher ethics and higher morality. And this revival of training in classical Buddhist ethics is happening during the same period as the revival of the training in Samadhi, classical Buddhist meditation, and the revival of the training in Panya, that is the training in classical Buddhist wisdom of the early Buddhist teachings. Surely this is not a coincidence. Did you know that it was in Sarnath, where the Buddha set the Dhamma wheel in motion on the Asalha full moon, that the Bhikkhunī Sangha was revived? And it was 25 years ago this year, in 1998, that the first Theravada Bhikkhuni preceptors were appointed, and the first Theravada dual Sangha Bhikkhuni ordinations revived once again on the island of Sri Lanka. It was 10 years later, in 2009, that the dual Theravada Bhikkhuni ordinations spread out of Sri Lanka and began again in India and spread into Australia. I was a part of that, as was Ajahn Brahmali on this program. And 2010 in North America, here at Aranya Bodhi, Awakening Forest Hermitage. In 2015 in both Europe, in Germany, and in Indonesia, as well as in Thailand. And in 2022 in the U.S. state of Virginia, and in the country of Bangladesh, both long awaited. In 2022, the United Theravada Bhikkhunī Sangha International, UTBSI, our host, was founded and offered its first next-generation international Bhikkhuni ordinations in Bodh Gaya. And it should be noted that just over 1 year ago, also in 2022, the Himalayan Mula Sarvastivada Bhikshuni ordination lineage was revived in the Himalayan Buddhist kingdom of Bhutan. All three ancient Buddhist Savakayana or Shravakayana Vinaya lineages now once again have fourfold Sanghas as the Buddha intended. This is the first year in a very long time that all three of the three great remaining early Vinaya schools, the Theravada school of South and Southeast Asia, the Dharmaguptaka school of East Asia, and the Mula Sarvastivada school of the Himalayas, have all had living fourfold communities, including Bhikkhunis, as the Buddha intended, once again. It's as if we're moving into a new era. In 2023, new Bhikkhuni preceptors for the next generation have been appointed in Thailand and also in Europe, in Germany. The international Cambodian Theravada Bhikkhunī Sangha has been revived just one full moon ago. To return to the Buddha's criteria of the health of the Tisika amongst the fourfold Sangha as a yardstick for the health of the Sangha and its long endurance, I'd like to note that, while truly impressive and monumental, this revival of the training in classical Buddhist Sila has not yet come as far as the revival and popularization of classical Buddhist meditation practice and classical Buddhist wisdom studies and teachings. This is not because Sila is less important. The revival of classical Buddhist Sila might even be considered in some ways as far more important and significant. Why? This is due to the foundational nature of right Sila in the Noble Eightfold Path, which expands on these three trainings which the Buddha notably expounded on this Āsālha full moon in his seminal Dhammacakkappavattana teaching, Turning the Dhamma Wheel. The training in right Samma Sila that's in tune is a basis and support for the right Samma Samadhi, the meditation that is in tune, which is in turn a basis for the clear seeing and insight that leads to noble vision and breakthrough to the noble truths, the opening of the Dhamma eye, and that noble wisdom which then illuminates and literally rocks the whole great Trichiliacosm with that right wisdom that is in tune and is characteristic of not only an Arahant Samma Sambuddha, but also of Arahant Savaka and Savika Buddhas, that is, the fully awakened noble disciples of the Buddha, who themselves open the Dhamma eye. Indeed, when the Buddha set the Dhamma wheel into motion in the Deer Park in Isipatana, in the Garden of Seers 2,612 years ago, per classical Theravada Buddhist counting, it was the opening of the Dhamma eye amongst his listeners, and news of this, which was the cause of the great quaking and light spreading through this great Trichiliacosm, reported in the Sutta. Among all the Buddha's miracles, the Buddha himself said that it is this miracle of the teaching of the Dhamma, that is, the successful teaching of this effective Dhamma, with both path and fruits, that's the greatest miracle of all. Of course, many will know that the reason we so laud the success of the first turning of the Dhamma wheel is that an even greater success was very soon to follow, 1 week later, on what we call the Anattalakkhana Attami, with the Buddha's teaching of the Anattalakkhana Sutta, the discourse on non-self, that the Arahant Sangha reappeared in the world. This is the great significance. This is the fruition of the turning of the Dhamma wheel. And so it is that in all the tellings of the foundation of the Buddha's Bhikkhunī Sangha as well, this point is clearly made. That is, with the going forth in full ordination, upasampada, for women too, replete in patimokkha sila, full arahanthood, full awakening is possible. And likewise, As within 7 days after the initiation of the Bhikkhu Sangha and the Asalha Puja full moon, the fully awakened Arahat Bhikkhu Sangha appeared in the world, which we now and in this coming week celebrate. So it was too that within 7 days after the initiation of the Bhikkhunī Sangha on the September full moon, the Bhadapad Punnami, that the Arahati Bhikkhunī Sangha likewise appeared. We'll be celebrating this 2 lunar months from now. This time was in fact the real time of the complete fulfillment of the Buddha's intention and vow. With these great contemporary revivals in Sila, Samadhi, and Panyasika, we'll see that the revival, the restitution of the Buddha's meaning and vow is complete when we have not only Kasaya-robed Bhikkhu Sangha and Arahat Bhikkhus, and Kasaya-robed Bhikkhunī Sangha, but also Arahat Bhikkhunis once again, together with white-robed male and female householders and renunciate disciples of the Buddha, all with noble realizations, all attaining ultimate Nibbana, as the Blessed One so clearly intended and affirmed before he set foot so fatefully towards the deer park, and there turned the Dhamma wheel on this Asalha Puja full moon. Dedication. May these great teachings and the significance of this great opportunity that we now enjoy not be lost on us, but may we do our level best, arising with wholehearted intention and dedication, setting forth with wholehearted intention, dedication, and effort, practicing with all of our mindfulness and strength, and experiencing the fruits. And then doing whatever we can to ourselves turn that wheel forward that never turns back, passing beyond all suffering and distress, and paying it forward as the Blessed One, the Buddha, our teacher, himself did. Tanyata. Sadhu, 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 anumodami. Thank you very much for your patient listening.